Before moving to Coral Spring, Florida, here are the tips you need to know. This is Komal Acharya. Today in this video, we are going to talk about a beautiful city called Coral Spring, South Florida. So Coral Spring is part of the Broward County. If you check on this map, it's one of city which is close to Parkland, Weston, Sunrise, Plantation. So it's quite a bit central location you can find in a Broward County. So that's like one of the advantage. If you're moving to Coral Spring geographically, it's kind of promising location because many of the IT companies or many software companies or even a lot of hospitals are around Coral Springs, even though they are in a different city, but people love to live in Coral Springs. So here in this video, we are going to break down the facts why many people choose Coral Springs, and at the same time, if you are choosing Coral Springs, what are the things you need to know? So number one, Coral Spring is one of the city where you have a lot of no HOA neighborhoods. If you are looking for something, live in the single family houses and doesn't like HOA, then Coral Spring has a lot of choices. This city kind of developed around 1970s. Majority of the houses got developed. There are a lot of different communities got developed also around 1980s, 1990. Coral Spring is very close to Parkland, so one peculiarity is that zip code 33076 is kind of a bit shared between Parkland and Coral Springs. But advantage of living in Coral Spring in that zip code is your taxes are much lower, your HOA is much lower. Per square foot price, it's competitive to Parkland. However, since the houses year builds are older, so it's not that expensive like Parkland. So many people decide to live in Coral Springs in 33076 specifically because they want to have a high school which is shared between Coral Spring and Parkland, which is a Douglas. So if you're one of the requirement you want to have A+ high school, then Coral Spring has a choices. Talking about the single family communities, there are a lot of like more than 24 communities you would or neighborhoods you can find. Those are developed by majority of them by WCI communities, and before it's called Coral Reach properties. So you have a lot of like what you call deep rooted communities are. Like I had my own listings in Coral Springs because I live in Coral Springs. I love Coral Springs. Anyways, like I'm showing you a couple of pictures just to give you an idea what kind of houses are here. So if you come into Coral Spring communities, neighborhoods, you will find the larger lots comparatively some other cities like even though Parkland is newer, but still compared to that, the lot sizes are much bigger in Coral Spring area. You do have, as I said before, it's no HOA communities, so your holding cost is much less. Your tax is much less. So property tax and also the insurance wise, because most of the houses are built around 1980s, 1984. So most of them are kind of due for the roof, or it's kind of already changed, you know, they changed the roof because normally the roof, if it's a tile roof, is around 30 to maximum 35 years, or sometimes many people change around even 25 years. So most of them I've seen changed in 2009, or some of them are changed even just lately, like very recently. So that is a plus point, even though year built is old, but you have a possibility of getting the very new roof. And since the homeowners are living since long there, that's why there is definite possibility of having some kind of protection for the hurricane. And that can go other way around too, because many people like to have just hurricane windows, not the shutters or the panels they like. So then it's less probability having the windows, because many people, mostly are like nowadays the windows are very common, but before people were just doing the shutters because those are more economical and they do provide the same protection like you have in windows. The only difference is windows are a little bit, eco-friendly. You save somewhat in air conditioners bill comfortable, and it's also protection from, like, nobody can break in, in that windows. So talking about the layouts of the single family houses, what you get here in Coral Springs, you have a majority of the houses you can find is a single story. If you love single story, then Coral Springs is the only choice, because I see a lot of different cities I serve in Broward, Palm Beach, Miami-Dade, and some other northern counties we serve too. Having the single story is kind of uncommon if the year builds are after 1990. So Coral Springs is a kind of deep-rooted neighborhoods. It has so single-story houses, a lot of single-story houses you can find, so a lot of layouts. But one disadvantage is they have a low ceilings. So that's something, if you are not kind of comfortable, then Coral Springs will not give you a great choice. Now talking about what are things you need to look for when you are moving to Coral Springs City. So one other thing is, when you are moving in, definitely it's in general for the Florida, you have 10 days to get your kid registered in your school. You do need to have a home ownership for that. So basically, you do have to kind of show somewhere where you're living, either you're in rental or you are owning the house, but you do have to send them either a lease or the deed to register your kid in the school, because that's kind of priority, like many of families moving with the kids. Another thing about the driver license, many people wonder, you do have 30 days to transfer your out-of-state driver license to here. One thing I'll definitely tell here, the offices are they are giving almost 400,000 new residents, DMI, Florida in general I'm talking about. So it's they're very busy. So I would definitely suggest to do your homework, the documents you carry with you. Mostly they need your a proof of your addresses for the residents. You can have even bank statement, or it could be something around the deed or lease or something. So basically that's only one thing people struggle to get in a timely manner. Other documents are very common, I'm listing just, what documents you need to transfer your driver license, because that's very important when you are coming with a car, because you do not have too much time to register your car if you are moving here, because I think they give around 10 days to register your car, and you do need to have again the ownership of the car. I've seen Coral Springs law enforcement is very strict. So I mean, if you're not caught, you could definitely use out of state registration, but again they're very strict on these rules. And it's a good thing, because the safety wise Coral Springs that's why it's one of the city is kind of top rated on the safety. I'll tell you one thing, when the shooting in a Parkland happened in a schools, which many of you know about it, because that was a kind of national issue became for the gun rules. The Coral Springs police was the number one who reached at the location. So they are very, very strict. And you will not ever see one police car. You will always see two police car when they approach anybody. So they are very strict, and they maintain, even though it's a lot of no HOA communities, non-gated communities, but they maintain this the safety protocols, and it's great for the residents. And that's why I love this area. Even though you don't have a HOA, you don't have to worry about your kids can play around outside. I have my neighbors, they are living since years here. One of my neighbors, since 25 years, they are living here, and they love this area. They never moved out Coral Springs. So in general, Coral Springs is amazing city to live with the family, with the kids. The schools are great too. Here there are 12 elementary schools. I think there are 4 middle school and 3 high schools. Some zip code, some area I do not personally like the school ratings. So you do have to do proper homework, which zip code you are choosing to live in Coral Springs. But in general, it's a great for the kids. I mean, there are great activities happens even through cities. There are new city centers opening, so it's going to be a sports complex, and a lot of things are coming in. There's a library here, a lot of restaurants, different multicultural restaurants you will find in Coral Springs. I still complain one thing is I wish Coral Springs has a better downtown. It does have a downtown, but it's not that much things you can do around in downtown. So it's very close to University Drive, which is a very busy road. So if you're going with the kids, it's kind of not too much time you can spend there. Talking about the climate here is awesome. South Florida in general is great. You have 365 days, amazing weather. Right now, this winter, I feel this last week, I mean, right now I'm recording this video in February. A few days days because there's a blizzard going on in the west side. So that's why we feel a little bit cold. You have to have a jacket here in the night time, but again, mornings are amazing. So yesterday we had lowest, it went up to like 45, I think, in the evening time, but today again is 75. So the weather is awesome. Like, you know, you do, of course, you feel a little bit of cold days, but it's not like winter you will find in South Florida or in Coral Springs itself. And this town is a west side, so it's not very close to beach. So humidity wise also I feel is a little bit less than, you know, the beach town. So I hope this video is helpful to you guys. If you're moving to Coral Spring and you need any kind of help, you know, want to talk to me, even I have a real estate company, we can talk about it on a Zoom call or do the consultation, free consultation. So let me know and I'll see you in my next video.